This is a complete guide on how I use Notion to script my YouTube videos, how I take an idea and transform it into a final product. Now the point of this video is to help you script faster, easier, and more efficiently. If you're interested, the template that I use for scripting is linked in the description. Without further ado, let us begin. So at the top here, I have a little reminder that says, convince me that the video is worth making and why another person would find it worth their free time. Now, each person can take this and interpret it as they wish. For me, it's just a little reminder that people on YouTube are not at all required to watch my videos, and therefore, if I would like to increase the watch time that they spend on my channel, then I really need to focus on making good and interesting videos that they will find useful. Next is a table of contents, which I rarely use. And then we get into the pre-production phase. Now in the pre-production phase, the first thing is the titles, and as a little reminder, it says sell the result, not the process. Now the thoughts behind sell the result and not the process is that a title that says I read 100 books in a year is better than a title such as how I woke up early every morning to read more books, right? So you're selling the result, the thing that people really want. Now the point of this title section is to come up with as many alternative titles as possible, because it is likely the case that the first idea that I had that I titled my Notion page with is not going to be the final title that I'm going to be publishing the video with. For this task, I have a table. The table has a few columns. Let's go through them one by one. So the first column is the title. So this is just where I type out brainstorm an idea for a title. I just type it out. And then next I have the length. And the length is a formula that's just going to tell me how long the title is. And then I have the status of the title, and this is going to either be a green check mark or it's going to be 2 red exclamation points. Now the reason that I have the length and the status as formulas is so that they can automatically tell me whether the title that I have just brainstormed fits within the length specifications of YouTube. Meaning, sometimes you look on YouTube and you'll see a title so long that it'll just go ... after just showing the beginning part of the title. It won't show the whole title. And so I prefer and I want my titles to be fully visible to a potential viewer. Therefore, I want to keep them under 55 characters. And so this Notion formula would just tell me, green check mark if it's good to go, and then the exclamation points if it's not. Next we have a little Q. And this is just short for quality, and all that I do there is just select a star if I like a particular title. If I think it's possibly the best one, I'll just star title. Next we have thumbnail ideas, and this is a similar process to the titles in that, again, it's brainstorming, this time for thumbnails. So here what we have is a little reminder that the thumbnail is one of the first things that a viewer will see. You're scrolling through YouTube, you see something. Normally the thumbnail is if not the first, it's one of the first things that you see. And so it's very, very important. It's like the cover of a book. It's there and people will judge it, and that very, very quick judgment of that thumbnail is going to influence whether they're going to be interested in watching it. Okay, so for the thumbnail we have, again, a little table, this time with only 3 columns. The first column is just the number of the thumbnail, so 1, 2, 3, or 4, or so on. And then we have the thumbnail idea. So this is where I'll just type in my thumbnail idea. I'll describe it. So it might be, me sitting down holding a book. Okay. And then on the last column, we have the props needed. So in that instance that I just gave, a prop might be, have some books around, maybe have some, plants around or some lights around. And once I have a better idea of the title and the thumbnail that I would like to use, then it's time to move on to the market research and analysis phase. And this is where I'm taking a closer look at the statistics on YouTube for a related video. So if the video is about how to read more books, then I'll literally type in that into YouTube. And I will also type in the alternative titles that I have just brainstormed. And this will allow me to see a greater, broader overview of what exists around that topic. Now, here are a few questions that I will go through in my process of looking at existing videos and existing view counts and subscriber counts on YouTube for this particular video topic. How's this video doing on YouTube? Any videos outperforming relative to their subscriber count? What's special about those videos? What titles thumbnails have they gone with, and what's the video actually like? Anything we can use as inspiration from it. How worth it is it to make this video from a stats perspective? Next, I have a little section for evidence/inspiration for the video I'm making. So this might be articles, this might be other videos. It just is a collection of sources that have little elements that I might want to incorporate that inspire the work of this video. But it's kind of optional. I don't do it all the time, but if I find something really good, then I'll link it there and I'll describe it a little bit. Now, the next major phase in my scripting process is called a well-told story, or as I like to think about it, just putting myself into the perspective of a potential viewer. And what this allows me to do is that it just gets me to see what potential value or benefit they would be expecting to receive from a video on this topic. And by doing that, make sure that I actually offer that benefit to them. Now, for this exercise, it is often quite helpful to think of a specific one person in mind, maybe give them a name, but basically you just want to have a clear idea of a potential viewer, just one instance. And so some questions that I'll ask myself are as follows. What does that person want? What do they want? Why can't they get what they want? What are the stakes? What will happen if they don't get what they want? Who or what helps them? How do they get what they want? Unique tips that they can use to solve their issue. How are they transformed by this experience? And then finally, my unfair advantages in this area / how am I unique in advising or suggesting things in this area? Or in other words, how am I uniquely qualified to answer this question? And so this will take around maybe half an hour, just depends how intense it is, how elaborated you want to go into your explanations. Next is the video outline stage, and the first question here is, why should people care about this video? And so after answering that, I have some other questions. Other questions after that are, write down the main concept of the video. What should the flow look like? What's the reason for making it? What's the main value that a viewer is going to get after watching this video? Next, I move into the outlining stage, which is where I really start getting into the point where I start preparing information that will actually show up in the video. Now, the first of these is the hook, the opening, the first 30 seconds that I have in order to capture a viewer's interest and engagement. The next are talking points. These can be, I have 3 in the template, but you can always add more, and I sometimes do if it's necessary. And then we have the additional notes or the bonus, just extra information that I might think that is, something that is a benefit to the viewer. And then we have the resources. So this might be books, might be gear, might be some website links that would also be relevant to the video. And then finally is the call to action. So maybe something I'm asking the viewer to do. Might be, watch these other 2 videos, subscribe to the channel, or comment down below, something like that. Finally, we come to the scripting phase. And this is where I just add more detail and elaboration to the points that I made in the outline. So depending on how comfortable I feel with the video topic, this might be just more bullet points, or it might be more close to just word for word scripting. Now, you will notice that above the scripting section, there are 2 columns, and in these 2 columns, there is bold bracketed text. And all these really mean we have A-roll, B-roll, A-roll, and B-roll, voiceover, we have icons, images, text animation, and music. And all these really are just little reminders for myself to help me visualize how the video should come across in the end. So A-roll, for example, is just me talking head on to the camera. B-roll is when I show something else, it's a related type of footage, like to what I'm talking about. So if I'm talking about reading, I might show some B-roll of books. Then there's A-roll plus B-roll. This is where I might split my screen, so I might be, put my A-roll to one side and my B-roll to the other. There is also voiceover, where I will show the whole screen as B-roll visually, and then do a narration in the background. And then the icons, images, and text animations and music are kind of more self-explanatory. After I have scripted my video and I know what I want to talk about, I move on to location planning. Now, this is not always applicable to my videos because I normally just film right here at my desk. But if I did want to film outside, or maybe on the sofa, or near a bookcase, the list goes on, then I could plan out my recordings for each location. Now, after all of that pre-production work and scripting, and after all the little changes that I might want to make to my script, then I am finally ready to film. If you want to use my Notion scripting template, it's linked down below. And finally, if you found this video valuable, then you might want to check out these other 2.